How do you kill a man without fear? By putting the fear in him. Hey guys, Movie Fan 356 here, and if you couldn't tell from the quote, which if you guys can't tell from the quote, I'm not going to fault you for that. A lot of people don't know movies like some of us do. Um, but today, as you can tell from the thumbnail and the title, though, the movie we're going to be talking about is one I've been wanting to talk about all month, but I wanted to wait till I got it on Blu-ray to talk about this because it's one of those movies where people like it, but a lot of people hate it too. The film is Daredevil, and this is the director's cut edition of the Blu-ray. And you're probably asking yourselves, well, are you reviewing the theatrical cut or the director's cut? Because they are essentially, they're two very different movies. Um, I'm going to be talking about the overall film in general, not really a specific version I'm going to be reviewing here, just the basis of what, the basis of the film that's included in both versions. But I probably will mention a couple of the director's cut exclusive stuff in here. I don't know, we'll see. Daredevil, it gets hated on a lot, and I can kind of see why if you watch the theatrical version. But the director's cut version, much, much better version of the film. But, like I said, I'm going to do an overall general review of the film Daredevil, not really a specific edition. The plot of this film is you see the origin story of the hero Daredevil, who is, as a kid, he was blinded, and he used his blindness because once he was blinded, all of his other senses were like maximized, and so he was able to use his other senses to his advantage. And his spoiler alert: his father dies, and he makes a promise to himself that he's gonna fight for the good. He's gonna take down the one who killed his father, the Kingpin, which I will talk about. When he's older, his name's Matt Murdock in the film. He's played by Ben Affleck. And by the way, this film was directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who also directed the first Ghost Rider film. Not that that's really relevant, but I just wanted to mention that, I guess. A little fun fact for you. When he grows up, Matt Murdock becomes a lawyer, trying to... Yes, he's still blind. He never gets his sight back. And, he's trying to take down the Kingpin, and he kind of falls in love with this girl named Elektra, who's played by Jennifer Garner in the film. And that's basically the plot of the film. It's a pretty simple plot. Now, what I think of Daredevil is, like I said, this movie gets shitted on a lot, and I can kind of understand why if you watch the theatrical version, but the director's cut of the version, so much better. But even the theatrical cut, I have fun with. Just take out that teeter-totter scene, the movie would be fine, in my opinion. Now, this movie does have some flaws without the just teeter-totter scene, sure. But I have fun with Daredevil. I do. I don't mind Ben Affleck as, Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil. I don't mind him. I didn't think he was terrible. I don't know. I guess it's because the reputation that Ben Affleck had back then. He was doing all the yuck Kevin Smith comedies and, like Good Will Hunting and all that was back in that day and stuff. And which Good Will Hunting was a terrific film, but Ben Affleck, I can kind of see why he got hated on at the time, but now, looking back to what he's done now and what he did back then, it's really not that bad. I've seen Ben Affleck do worse. And I've certainly seen him do better, but I've seen him do worse. And, this was the first time he got to play a superhero, and he didn't really have that much experience with the whole action genre at that time, so I'm fine with Ben Affleck. I didn't see him as too big of a problem. Jennifer Garner as Elektra. I like her as Elektra in this film. I don't like what they did with her in that Elektra spin-off film. I don't like that film at all. I'm not going to be reviewing that one because I don't want any memory of that. Well, I know, you're thinking, well, Batman and Robin, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. Then you get Colin Farrell. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, Colin Farrell. So I was gonna say Colin Firth, and I know that's just not true, but I was double checking. I did say Colin Farrell though. Colin Farrell is playing Bullseye, who is this guy. He's he's one of Daredevil's villains, and he's always on target, never misses, and he always his catchphrase bullseye. Um, so yeah, what I thought about Colin Farrell as Bullseye is he's okay. I like the character of Bullseye very, very much. In this movie, I thought he was fine. It's just I wanted to see more development on the character of Bullseye. Like, he kind of was just. It looked like Bullseye was pretty much just thrown in there just so we could have, another villain in the film, because the other villain that we do have, it was Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. And you're thinking, well, isn't that from Spider-Man? He's the fat white dude from Spider-Man, right? Yeah, but he also crosses over with Daredevil too. He's a big part of the Daredevil mythology. And the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, is played by the late Michael Clark Duncan. Rest in peace, sir. What a great actor. Green Mile, I mean, the dude just had talent. But this is not a tribute to Michael Clark Duncan, but what a terrific actor. And, yeah, Kingpin, he's a fat white guy in the cartoons and the comics and all that stuff. But in this movie, he's just a big, buff, bald black guy. Do I care? Not at all. See, that's the thing. I'm going to kind of go off topic here a little bit. I don't mind race changes to certain characters in the comic universe, casting choices wise. Like, take the whole Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm the Human Torch. I kind of talked about this before. I don't mind that he's black, as long as you keep the core essential, traits of who that character is. Like, he's got to be related to Sue Storm. So I wanted them to get a black Sue Storm. I wouldn't have cared. I kind of wanted them to get a black Sue Storm after Michael B. Jordan, because I love Michael B. Jordan. I think he's going to be a great Johnny Storm. But, I'm like, cast somebody black as Sue Storm, because they're siblings. I mean, if one's white, one's black, how are you going to explain that? Adoption, sure. Step siblings, sure, I guess, but whatever. Michael Clark Duncan as Wilson Fisk, though, I don't mind this race change either, because they kept the essential traits of who this character is. He played the Kingpin almost perfectly. He was born to play the Kingpin, actually. Sure, he doesn't have the look for it, but he played the part well. They kept the core essential of who the Kingpin is, and I really, really admired that. Now let's talk about the romance between Elektra and Matt Murdock here. Obviously, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner are married now. They have been married for years, and I believe this was the movie where they met and kind of got together and stuff like that. But their chemistry together, it's good. I mean, it could have been better, but you gotta keep in mind, this is probably when they were first meeting, so, they didn't have that actual... I mean, they were probably... You could tell they were into each other, but they were kind of nervous about it, because it kind of shows in the film that, I mean, yeah, that's who the characters are. In the movie, the characters are kind of attracted to each other, but kind of weirded out about it because they both have other things to do, and, but I think that kind of, resembles what was going on in real life there. At least in my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that, but their chemistry is okay. I don't hate it. They're both badasses. Well, Jennifer Garner's a badass in this film. Ben Affleck did fine. The action in this film is fun. I like the tone. It's a dark, gothic-y tone. It kind of reminds me of The Crow a little bit. I mean, there's not many scenes in the daytime, especially in the director's cut. It's mostly nighttime. But because Daredevil's more of a dark character anyway. He's more of a rated R Marvel character. At least in my opinion. Really interested to see what they're going to do with that Netflix TV series. But yeah, this movie was rated PG-13, I believe. Well, this one's rated R. The director's cut is rated R, but I think the general movie, the theatrical version, was PG-13. But yeah, there's a little bit of boobs in this version. But yeah, I like the tone of the film. It's very dark, it feels like Daredevil a little bit. What else can we talk about here? Oh yeah, what's that guy's name? From the Goonies. Joe Pantoliano. He's one of the the Fratellis. He's one of the Fratelli brothers in the Goonies. He's in this film as a reporter who believes in Daredevil, but no one really sees Daredevil. He's like Batman. He stays in the shadows, but he believes that Daredevil exists, and he's trying to prove it. I think his character's interesting. I forget the character's name off the top of my... Ben Urich, that's what it was. Had a brain fart for a second there. He's playing Ben Urich, and if you guys are familiar with the comic books, you guys know Ben Urich. I think he does a good job. You get Jon Favreau in this film, yes, the director of Iron Man 1 and 2, who also played Happy Hogan in the Iron Man films. He's in this film as Matt Murdock's best friend. And it's Jon Favreau. I mean, what's not to love about Jon Favreau? I think he's just a great actor. He's very funny, but he can also be serious too. Like, he can pretend to be serious, but we're kind of just laughing anyway at him. He's just one of those guys. I think he's a good actor too, or a good director too. Guys, that's pretty much all I can say. The soundtrack for this film. I kind of want to mention that because the soundtrack of this film is pretty cool. This is the kind of music that I listen to. Not really big on Fuel, but their song that they do for this movie, Won't Back Down, terrific song. I listen to that song all the time. I'm not that big of a Fuel fan. But there are two Evanescence songs in this film, which I love Evanescence. Well, I did back in the day. Their new stuff's not all that great, but different discussion for a different time. I don't talk about music, I talk about movies. But that's what I like, and there are two Evanescence songs in here, and they're two of the best ones. And so I really love the soundtrack on here. So guys, I think I pretty much covered all the basic stuff. I think I should give this a rating, because I don't think I did that yet, and this review's probably going longer than it should have. What am I going to give Daredevil? Overall, now remember, director's cut and theatrical cut are going to be different ratings. The theatrical cut, I'm going to give the theatrical cut of Daredevil a C+. A C+. And the director's cut of Daredevil, I'm going to give... I'm going to give it... I want to give it an A-, but I'm going to go with my gut and give it a B+. I think it's really, really good. The director's cut is the much better version of the film. If you have the option to go watch the theatrical cut of the film or the director's cut, highly recommend the director's cut. It's a much better version. Even though I like the theatrical cut, I gave that a C+, I think. I think that's what I just said, but yeah, B+ is what I'm gonna give Daredevil. So a B+ and a C+ overall rating would probably be a solid. Would it be? I don't know. I don't know grades like that, but yeah, guys, all I can say today. I'll see you guys in the next video.